welcome back to another episode of WEGS Garage. Today we are going to be trying to get our 1964 Triumph TR4 started and back on the road again so we can test our new rebuilt transmission and overdrive. And today has a high of like 95 degrees, so pretty much we need to get this car running or we're gonna die. So stay tuned.
You have reached the National Weather Service in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. For Sioux Falls current conditions, please press 1. It's 4 p.m. The sky was cloudy in Sioux Falls. The temperature was 89 and the dew point 77. The relative humidity was 67%, producing a heat index of 101. Wind was northwest at 13 miles an hour. Pressure was 29.7.
Why?
All right, so here it is. So far today we did go ahead and put our seats back in. We kind of rigged up some slightly sketchy wiring for the overdrive, and then we also have an electric fan that's just running on a manual switch right now for the radiator. Those are definitely not going to be the final locations for those switches. We just wanted something so we could test our overdrive solenoid and make sure everything is working properly. We already kind of did a dry run, put it in gear, flipped the key and the switch on, and everything seems to be working well. The solenoid clicks on and off, etc. Back a few months ago, we also replaced this alternator because we suspected we had a bad alternator. So we're going to be watching that pretty closely. And then we're going to be watching our temperature too, because we were still having a little bit of trouble with overheating. So those are kind of the three main things we're going to be doing today: checking the transmission, the alternator, and the overheating. So first thing we got to do to make that happen is get it off the jack stands, and then we'll push it out into the scaldingly hot outdoors, where our only form of air conditioning will come from sitting behind the wheel of this car. Sounded really freaking weird.
Yeah, why is that sounding goofy? Where's the noise coming from?
I don't know, I can't tell.
Wow. Shit. Is it coming from the engine or the gearbox?
It's coming from somewhere up here.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It ain't the alternator, is it? Because we swapped that out.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Can't imagine what it would be. Alright, so that sounded very expensive, but I assure you, simple fix. Here's what we found. Some bozo, that was me, put this plate on backward. So I think I win the stupid award for today. Here, you can see where the flywheel bolts were rubbing on here. This has a little indent to it, and that means it's supposed to be mounted this way, so the indents are what are facing the flywheel, and it flipped around. Don't do that, it sounds really, really bad. So we're gonna put this back on the right way, and then try starting the car. Alright, so far the transmission seems really solid. Shifts in and out of gear, no funny noises or anything like that. But it doesn't seem like our overdrive solenoid is engaging when we flip the switch in third, fourth gear. So we'll go back to the shop and see if we can troubleshoot maybe an electrical problem or something with that, and see what we can find out. Alright, so I haven't really found anything major here. I do have a little automotive circuit breaker mounted up here, and that was tripping on the line feeding power to the solenoid from the relay that I put in up there. I bypassed the circuit breaker, which sounds a little sketchy, but there doesn't really seem to be anything abnormal going on here. My guess would be that the solenoid's got a real high inrush, and that circuit breaker just really does not like that solenoid. So either it needs to be bigger, or we need to go with a fuse or something else. I'm not really sure. We'll look into that another time. We powered it up again without the breaker in there, and no wires get hot, nothing like that. The solenoid clicks on, seems to be working properly. So we're gonna try this again, see if our overdrive will engage. Here we go. Alright, okay, so the overdrive solenoid is turning on now. It still doesn't seem to be engaging the overdrive. I believe we just need to get the adjustment right on the actual lever down there to make that work. But we are like really hot, and I think we're gonna call it a day today. Everything else we set out to do today turned out perfect. This transmission is shifting and running great. That first gear's still a little gravelly. You guys will have to let me know in the comments if that's just a common thing for the non-synchro first gear. Everything else in there is tight. The synchros are great. You can hear them working in there. So I just don't think we're going to worry about that too much unless somebody thinks that's a really big problem. Doesn't sound great, but whatever. The overheating issues we were having last year, I think we managed to tune them out of this car between timing and carburetor adjustment. It is holding steady right at about 90 C on the gauge here, so that's really good. The other thing that seems to be working well is the alternator is now charging the battery really nicely. Every time we turn the car off and go to turn it back on again, it cranks right over. Really good. Really happy with that new alternator. Anyway, that's all the time we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know what you think down in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Later.